Hello, everyone. Welcome to Telling Tales. Regular viewers will know that we make atmospheric tabletop role playing games and we stream them for you here on Twitch or on YouTube if you're watching us there, although we're not streaming there. So, before we do anything, as per usual, I will ask Steve, our stream manager, onto the stream so we can look at his lovely face, his lovely, quite pixelated face. And yeah, how's it going, Steve?
I'm fine, yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
Pixels aside, yeah.
Pixels aside, it's a horrible condition. So Steve will be tinkering around behind the scenes, looking up rules, putting images on the screen, shifting around cams, and moderating chat. So yeah, if he appears on screen again, something's gone horribly wrong. But don't worry, it's probably nothing to worry about. Yeah, thank you, Steve.
Bye for now.
So, bit of promo to do before we get on with the role-playing session. We've got a bunch of links down below, links to our Twitch, to our YouTube. You're watching on one, why not check out the other and give us a follow or subscribe on it, that kind of thing. We've got a bunch of social media down there, which it'd be lovely if you checked out. We have a Discord if you want somewhere to go to talk to other like-minded people about all things telling tales and role-playing, then check it out. We also have a Patreon if you feel like supporting us further and getting some lovely rewards in return, then check that out. We run 3 weekly series here on Twitch, Monday through to Wednesday, each evening at 8 o'clock BST. Mondays is Call of Cthulhu, although next week it won't be. It's taking an off week because it's just finished a story arc. Tonight, obviously, Tuesday is Vampire the Masquerade, and Wednesdays is Simbaroom. In addition to this, we're also starting another series of Simbaroom this Sunday. Not here, though, not here on Telling Tales. We're starting it on the Free League Publishing Twitch channel, Free League, who makes Simbaroom, and they invite all kinds of people onto their Twitch channel to run games, and we're going to run one. And it's starting this Sunday at 3 o'clock BST. It's called Fetters of Stone, and it'll be running fortnightly. And it'll be really, really good. So, yeah. We also do monthly one-shots on the first Saturday of every month, like a single hit session of roleplay. We've done 4 of them so far this year: Alien, Mortborg, and Troika, and we just did Fiasco this weekend, just gone. So those are mostly in VOD form over on our YouTube. Check those out if you're interested. All right, that's all my promo and blurb done, to the happiness of everyone. So let's talk what happened in last week's session of London Ascendant. And to do so, first we'll bring on Justin. Justin plays Mandrel, our resident Nosferatu crafts lady and architect. Justin, tell me about what was going on. I believe you were down in the tunnels beneath London, meeting up and then being guided by Z.
Yeah, Z, an interesting Nosferatu character, a odd-looking, amphibious, almost Innsmouth-look Nosferatu who led us through a winding labyrinth of tunnels underneath London to a secret location where he revealed that he was the agent of the King of Shadows. We negotiated for some access to the King of Shadows' kingdom, that is all of London pretty much, for us and the rest of the mission. And, Z was going to run that up the flagpole and see what came down.
Yeah, he said he was going to try and get you an audience with the Court of Shadows.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds great. I believe he also took as payment for this messaging some blood from Arthur Norris, who was with you.
I mean, if you can call it blood.
If you can call that. If you can call Ventrue blood. And I'm sure Arthur will have his own thoughts to say on that later. In the meantime, let's bring on our second player, Neill, who plays Alex Taylor Brown. They are our resident Malkavian prophet of doom and Mithras lover. Neill.
Alex had a truly wonderful evening scouting out a building of the dangerous Second Inquisition with Brazil and Oscar. For some reason, Brazil wanted to make absolutely certain that we were caught on camera scouting about. So Oscar had a wander about. Alex wandered up onto the roof and found a potential access in the air conditioning, which Brazil already knew about. And then we went back to the Haven, having nicely made sure that we had no choice but to infiltrate it in another night.
Absolutely. And along the way, it's safe to say on the way back, there was a little bit of intercoterie conflict. And to talk to us a little, I suppose a little bit about that, but more so about further conflict that happened later, let's bring on our third player, Pierre. Pierre plays Oscar Kane, Tremere, Antiquarian, and as was discussed before the start of this stream, definitely the Hobbit of the coterie. So tell us of this conflict, Pierre.
Yeah, well, it turns out that it had slipped both mine and Mandrel's minds to tell the coterie anything at all about the King of Shadows. And Alex got that revealed to them by their sire. And Arthur, I think, just got it straightforwardly revealed to them. And neither were too pleased, given that this could have inhibited their safety. But I mean, what are a few secrets between friends?
It was a need to know, and they didn't need to know. So
exactly. I actually felt kind of bad, but I'm trying to put on my best sort of happy face on this issue. Yeah, so there were some secrets being kept, but not just that secret, not just that. Turns out that Alex maybe knows something about Mithras, who I had only heard of as being some sort of like occult god, but turns out is real and very relevant to vampire politics. At least in the past. So,
in the past, and specifically in London, Mithras having been the extremely powerful vampiric prince of London specifically, but also realistically the Britain in general in the past, until his apparent demise during World War II.
Yeah, and Oscar's not really sure. I'm not really sure what to feel about this. I guess we can call it even in terms of secrets that could, cause mortal peril.
And obviously, you had some link to this because the ring you found, the ring marked with a golden bull, you realised may be responsible for some of the odd reactions you've received, given that you basically clicked that the golden bull is a symbol of Mithras.
Yeah, and it might be why I was getting some weird looks from
specifically from Rosa Barwi, who reacted quite oddly to it. So there we go. I think that summarizes that conflict fairly well. So let's bring on our final player, John. John plays Arthur Norris, our resident Ventrue high-class drug dealer. What happened at the end of the last session, please, John?
So at the end of the last session, Cortland, my sire and our handler in London, just popped by for a bit of a chat, and it sort of shifted off to a quiet spot, and basically said that something very big and bad might be about to happen, and if worse should come to worse, then leave the rest of them and save yourself.
Yep, that pretty much covers it.
It's a very caring thing to say.
It was, but Cortland's a very caring guy. So
it's very caring about me.
He did seem quite concerned about you, to be fair. So with that in mind, just a very quick summary of where we are, what the coterie has going on at the moment. The mission in London seems to be on the edge of a knife to a certain degree. You have an upcoming mission against a stronghold of the Second Inquisition. You're not entirely sure when that's happening. Speaking of things you're not entirely sure when they're happening, you also are seeking an audience with the King of Shadows. And I suppose we're also anticipating the fallout of your attempt to resolve the Anarch situation by trying to get them recruited as a Second Inquisition fighting force by Rowena, the former Sheriff of London, or one of the former Sheriffs of London. That about summarizes it, I think. So we will pick up the next night I think. And picking up the next night does, of course, mean that we all get a rouse check. So please make that first off.
I would have tried to go out and, well, I think I still have a point of herd left to feed from on the night that Portland visited.
I'd say you couldn't hunt because it was getting the hour was getting early. But absolutely, if you want to exploit a point of herd, then go ahead with that.
I rolled a success.
And I'm on hunger too.
I succeeded. I'm also on hunger too, which is very lucky.
There, Justin and Pierre, what are you on? Just out of interest.
I failed, but I would also so I would go up to 2. But could I make use of herd tonight, or is it not time?
You can have made use of herd at the tail end of last night. That's absolutely fine because herd isn't as onerous as hunting, right?
Yeah, I mean, because I wouldn't have been on. I don't hunger 1 last night, so I don't know if it's pushing it.
No, go for it.
Ham wave, good.
Or at the beginning of this evening, whatever. It's all fine.
Sure.
I'm on hunger 1.
You're on hunger 1, so we're not that hungry. And you know what? I don't think we revisit our ambitions and desires enough. Let's have a brief talk about them before we move forward into the story tonight. And I'll go around in a kind of clockwise sense. So, Justin, why don't you tell me what Mandrel's current ambition and desire are?
Well, my ambition is still very much to rebuild London, and I think it's going great. But my current desire hasn't really changed for a few sessions. It was work with Robson, and I haven't really found, the old teacher of mine. I haven't really found a good desire to have in the meantime. So I'll be thinking about that this session.
Sure, no problem. Neill, what does Alex have in their head?
Alex's ambition remains to retake London, whilst their desire last session was to escape from scouting the Second Inquisition unscathed, which they have succeeded, and now they are desireless for at least this session.
For now. Pierre, what about Oscar?
So my ambition is still to become a leader of vampires. My desire was to decode Jack's messages, but at the moment, because of the recent scouting, which seemed extremely dangerous and dubious, like we were being fed into a meat grinder, I have the desire to keep the coterie safe.
Okay. Mandrel.
I've just worked out my new desire is to feed on Oscar.
Okay, but this is intent, with consent, yes.
I mean, yeah, preferably. But I have a sandman. So
this is because you want to learn any specs, right? Yeah, sure. Arthur.
So my ambition is to receive social recognition by my superiors, and superiors is in quotes. My desire last session was to make an accord between the Nosferatu and the King in Shadows. And I think, seeing as how you were just talking to an agent, I don't know whether that was technically... No.
I don't think so. But when that moves forward, that will be your chance to accomplish that, I think. That's fine.
Yeah.
All right then. Well, in that case, there is no immediate things, like you don't wake up the next night and find Z or Brazil lurking in Down Street going, go, 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 So with that in mind, what kind of plans would we have? And I'm going to randomize it. I'm going to randomize it, folks, and see who we land on first. Okay, that is Justin. So what would Mandrel be doing with this evening, and would she incorporate any of the other coterie members in it?
Well, is the plan to go? What Mandrel wants to know is, when are we going to go, and what's the plan with staking out this warehouse? Are we going to go sometime soon? That kind of thing. Get an update on that. So I don't think Mandrel had much of a chance to get updated on that.
Sure, but I think we can maybe assume that was covered the night before, being as it's already kind of happened. So.
Yeah. Well, in that case, normal Mandrel work, bits and bobs around the haven, maybe work on some puzzle boxes, that kind of thing.
Sure. Okay. Well, you said that your desire was to kind of work on something with Mr. Robson. Why don't we make a roll to see if you work on something to the degree where you feel inspired by it to. So let's. What would be a crafting roll? I imagine. Well, if it's a puzzle box, rather than dexterity, let's go with intelligence, right? So let's have
Lovely.
an intelligence plus craft roll, shall we? To see. And what are your standards for like working on something with Mr. Robson? Would it have to be kind of you'd have to come up with an idea or a piece that you felt was worthy of his time?
Yeah,
Or...
I guess what I'm looking for with Robson is to convince him that the awkwardness of working with someone who is an undead person pretending who is got certain ways of working.
Sure.
That awkwardness is justified by the high quality work and price tag attached to that. So I'd want something that was going to be flashy.
Okay, well in that case, let's make it a target of 4 for you to craft or start to craft some, or come up with the idea maybe of something that you think would be good enough for Robson.
That's okay, and I'm assuming my speciality in craft carpentry comes into play.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, I will roll my 8 die. Oh my. Well, I didn't get very well. I rolled 2 successes and a bestial failure, but I'm going to re-roll some with willpower.
Sure.
Because I think I want to not get a massive bestial failure. I get 4 successes.
Okay. So you spend much of the evening kind of thinking and planning out. How does Mandrel plan her designs? Does she write them down? Does she kind of test drive them and have like rough blocks of wood? Does she scrawl them on the wall of the elevator shaft with a piece of charcoal? What's her process?
I kind of feel that Mandrel has basically converted the elevator shaft into a system of like levels where you can't access them through ladders or anything. So they're kind of like private, hidden away from the rest of the. You can like look up from the bottom of the shaft and see that there is stuff that Mandrel's working on up in the rafters, but you can't really see it. And then I imagine like different bits of wood and tools kind of like hanging off the wall, and different ideas kind of stuck up on the wall around it, and then maybe one of these little kind of hanging platforms, kind of corrugated steel, is kind of covered in ideas like that. So
Sure.
yeah.
So you're there kind of tinkering halfway up this lift shaft. Okay, well, there we go. That can be a chunk of Mandrel's evening right there. Let's do a lovely randomization again. And it is Alex, Taylor, Brown. What are they doing tonight?
Alex is doing 2 things that are very strongly related. Alex undoubtedly has many books on the mortal history of Mithras. I would say not lying about, but carefully organized, and will take 2 of them. One which is definitely more on the mortal friendly end, and one which perhaps discusses more esoteric, not necessarily kindred, but certainly more esoteric angles of things. And the first they will wish to take to Laura, but first we'll take the more esoteric one to Oscar as a kind of, not a peace offering, because of course Alex did nothing wrong, but something that Oscar, with his feeble mind, thinking that Alex did something wrong, as a peace offering.
Yeah, he's flawed enough to need something that appears to be a
assurance.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Okay. Well, unless Oscar, do you think you will have immediately left Down Street this evening, or will you be around for a little scene with Alex?
I'll be around. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Go ahead then.
Okay.
I will wander over to Oscar's room to extend the olive book. Okay. Good evening, Oscar. How are you?
Good evening, Alex. Yeah, I'm feeling refreshed.
Marvelous. I myself find that knowledge is always the best refresher. And as you were so intrigued last night, this morning, about Mithras, and you had not learnt of his will, I thought I might extend this to you. This is obviously only a mortal tome. It does not discuss the true revelations, but there are hints and there are at least mortal interpretations that might be of interest to you.
Interesting. Thank you. This is quite. I don't think I've ever encountered this particular book before. Oh, yeah.
That's quite all right, Oscar. In some ways, I have been remiss in your education as a new kindred in not teaching you this before, but I hope you would understand that there were so many other pressing things facing us that finding a book that and and having time to even read it were not things I expected us to have.
I definitely will. Obviously, I didn't know that Mithras was so central to who you are.
He is the Lord of Light. He slew the Golden Bull, and he really is an inspiration to all of us. He basically founded London, and both mortal and kindred. He led the Romans here. He commanded their armies and blessed them with great luck and light and strategy and prosperity. And then he conquered all of the British Isles, of the kindred British Isles, the one that matters. And then he ruled from London for millennia. He was not fond of the warlocks, but I am sure that in these more enlightened times, anyone who seeks knowledge would be more than welcome in his light.
Well, the light reveals things, so perhaps.
Indeed it does, Oscar. Indeed it does. As to Mithras has revealed so much to me.
So, is he the sort of person that you want to become, to follow in the footsteps of, or is he the sort of person that you want to do as he says?
Yes. I do not feel that I could become Mithras, for Mithras is Mithras, but to follow in the footsteps that he laid, the wisdom and teachings, and to venerate his methods and his styles and his wisdom. But equally, his will is paramount. He has shown us the way to become perhaps not a living god, that is not the right phrase, but certainly a god that walks rather than a idea.
I think you see like Oscar's eyes kind of light up when you're talking about becoming a god that walks, and I'm like, yes. Oh, I'll read this very thoroughly. Thank you, Alex.
I am glad to help, and please, firstly, again, I apologize that I have not taught you in this before, but secondly, if you do have questions, it would be my deepest pleasure to rectify that situation.
Anytime. Yeah. I'll seek you out.
Please.
And then I sort of, as Alex leaves, I think I noticed the piece of paper that was on my desk, and I sort of like briefly looked down at it, and I kind of put it away in the drawer that is right next to me.
Sure. After Alex has left.
Yes.
Okay. So there's no roll.
Would I have had a chance to notice this piece of paper if it's of any significance?
I don't think it looks significant, right?
It doesn't look significant. It has.
Alex was not deliberately snooping. It's more if there's a big list that said kindred I wish to kill. Alex Taylor Brown.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's definitely nothing like that. So
it begins very innocently.
I think that was a wonderful, friendly conversation. That was the friendliest conversation I've ever had. That was set off huge alarm bells in my head. So, I believe the other thing you wanted to do, Neill, was Alex wanted to take the slightly less esoteric tome, the more like keen, friendly,
and more academic, scholarly work.
The more academic, scholarly tone. Wanted to take that book and take it to Laura, who is one of your touchstones and also one of your students, in a way. So, are you taking this to Laura's apartment, or to like a meeting at the library where?
I believe an apartment, but doing so carefully and stealthily so that I am not seen, and I'll have to do Blush of Life in order to go, which I have failed. So I'm on Hunger 3.
Okay. You step out from Dam Street. Sorry, go ahead.
So in fact, whilst I'm there, just before I forget, I'll want, but she's part of my herd, I would like to feed on her whilst there. Just before I forget.
So as you step out from Down Street, you make your way through Mayfair. I don't think we determined where Laura's apartment is. I don't think it's massively important. Let's just say it's within a couple of hours walk away. And you proceed your way through Mayfair, and as you do so, once you're a few streets away from Down Street, I would like you to make me a roll, and I would like that roll to be wits plus Auspex at a difficulty of 4. You do have Sense the Unseen, yes?
I do. No, I do not. I have heightened senses.
Of course you have heightened senses. Oh, well, never mind.
One. I will not make any roll then.
Never mind.
There's nothing to see.
So once you're a few streets away, you you proceed onwards, having not made a roll. And when you're a few streets away again, perhaps on the very edges of Mayfair, you pass a sort of darkened alleyway off to one side. And as you pass it, there's kind of a slight clattering noise, as if of kind of bin lids, trash lids for our American friends, kind of clattering in the alleyway, in a way in which it has to be said seems to be somewhat attention grabbing.
I would like to turn heightened senses on and look in that direction to see if I can see what is causing the attention grabbing noise.
Sure. Why don't you give me a resolve plus awareness roll at, let's say, difficulty 4 again.
1, 2, 5 successes.
Okay. There you can see that there is an individual stood in the alleyway. You can't, it's too dark in there for you to kind of fully see kind of features or even what they're dressed as, because there's no light in that alleyway. It's just coming from kind of a lamppost further down the street. But you can see that they're stood there, and they appear to be looking in your direction.
Then, whilst making sure that I stay in plain view, so I'm not going into the alleyway, I will casually walk over. Good evening.
How can you know that no one else followed you? The voice is familiar.
I cannot. We can never know for sure.
Stepping out from the shadows of the alleyway is Gilbert Dwayne, I suppose your clan leader here in London. He's kind of nodding slightly feverishly and sort of scratching at the back of his neck, somewhat distractingly, and says, "Yeah, that's true." Can we have Gilbert up on screen, please? And for this scene, feel free to pull everyone, but Neill as well. Gilbert is looking at you almost expectantly.
And how does this evening find you?
Same as every night. Just trying to stay alive.
Can I assist you with this most important goal that we all share?
You help me. That's not how this works. That's not how this works. It's a trap.
Which one?
You know, Palmer Street. It's a trap.
Oh, of course. That was sadly quite evident when I was asked to reveal myself prominently on camera several times.
I don't know who. One of the other elders. They've got it in for our clan.
I see.
You,
How unfortunate.
Brazil, Zoe, all in this mission. That's not a coincidence. How could it possibly be a coincidence? The scratching on the back of his neck is getting kind of slightly desperate and disconcerting.
Well, unfortunately, in order to pass through this trap, I fear that we shall have to spring it.
You should start looking to see where this Judas is one of the other elders, and it could be someone else in your coterie has their ear. You don't know. You have to look. You have to look, Alex. You have to keep Brazil safe, yourself safe, Zoe safe. Otherwise, we're gone.
I hear your words and receive your sage counsel with many thanks. I have an idea. I will investigate.
Yeah, you do that. And don't tell anyone about this conversation.
What conversation?
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Look, in case you need it, I've kept the best for me. He reaches up and gestures with that translucent green water pistol he has in the picture, and says, "But just in case." He fumbles around at his side, and he's clearly kind of cleaning something over with a cloth before he throws it with a clatter onto the floor of the alleyway and says, "Just make sure you get out alive, and them too. The clan is at stake." He turns around and pelts at full speed down the alleyway.
What did he throw on the floor precisely? Is it
Well,
a yellow water pistol?
it's covered in the cloth that he
I
wrapped
will
it in, but
I will bend down to pick it up and discreetly unveil it in case there was an actual gun in there.
well, then your discretion was well advised, because it is an actual gun. It looks to be an extremely bulky and heavy pistol. In terms of damage value, if you want to note it down, it is a plus 4.
I've noted that down as received an actual gun.
Obviously, walking the streets of London. Hopefully, Alex, are they wearing a long coat or something?
No, but I brought a backpack with the book in because I didn't just want to be walking around holding a book, because that feels a bit odd.
Yes. And what if it rained?
Exactly.
So, yes, absolutely. In that case, you are free to make your way to Laura's. Do you want to role play that exchange in any way, or shall we take it for granted that you've delivered the book?
I'm fine not doing, because Alex is intending to make it a very brief visit to add to the mystery.
Sure.
They will simply knock, exchange pleasantries, hand the book, and say that that they will be back in many nights to discuss it, but that there are deeper wisdoms contained within than might first appear. And then take the opportunity to feed from her, and they make her forget that last bit.
Yes. So Laura accepts the book very solemnly and with a great deal of a sense of responsibility. And then, obviously, you feed from the young lady. So let's bring... Oh, sorry. Something else?
Just if we have time this evening, not necessarily in this scene, but I seem to recall that we had the address of where another coterie was staying, that Jack gave us way back.
Are you referring to... I don't know what we're referring to. Well, let's bring everyone back on, because other people might have a closer idea. So do you mean one of the coteries involved in the mission? Because there are 3 coteries that you're aware of.
Was it the one we already visited, or was it where
the one you've already visited were at the... Obviously, they're not there anymore, but they were at the abandoned department store.
There was a point Rory asked about other coteries, and Jack very coyly said, "Oh, the department store or
Yes.
the,
Or the
museum?"
Underneath the museum, yeah.
Yeah. That's a great callback that I had completely forgotten. Well, what kind of thing were you thinking of, Neil?
I was thinking to see if I could work, see if Alex could work out which museum it's likely to be,
Mm-hmm.
which is already a hard guess, and then go and investigate it to see if I could ruffle some feathers of the alleged people conspiring against all Markavians.
Sure,
I
absolutely.
think Mandrill's also used that knowledge as a kind of to blindside another member of the mission that they know more than they are letting on earlier on.
Okay.
That was a while ago.
Sure. All right. Well, let's put that not on the back burner for today, but on the back burner for right now, and let's go to a couple of the others and resolve those, and then see where the rest of the evening takes us. So, in terms of hopping to what other people are doing this evening, let's go with Pierre. So, what is Oscar Kane up to?
So shortly after Alex leaves, I will take out that piece of paper. I will write my little note, fold it up, put it in an envelope, and then go and get Arshad. And I will say to Arshad, look, I think that there is some chance that I won't come back from this mission. And if I don't come back within 3 days of having started it, I need you to deliver this to this address. I'll give him the address separately.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to destroy the evidence of the address after having memorized it. Yeah. After that, I think you should try and get as far away from here as possible and try to live free of our society as best you can. Try and remember who you were.
Arshad looks a bit kind of confused at these last instructions. For any relatively new viewers, Arshad was converted to be Oscar's ghoul quite early on in the storyline, and has since been somewhat not had so much free will of his own. Arshad kind of looks at the letter and kind of tucks it away, takes the address and tucks that away in a separate pocket, and nods and says, "Oh, Oscar, yes, of course, whatever you want, but I'm sure there's nothing there that could hold you for very long, or any of your companions."
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is just a precaution. Look, Arshad, I've got to stress this. It's of utmost importance that no one, except for the person who you're delivering this to, sees that letter.
I understand, Oscar. I'll die before they do.
Okay.
He turns and kind of strides away to go secrete it somewhere, and then he just pauses a second and kind of looks back, and he has like a confused look on his face you haven't seen for kind of quite some time, where almost kind of normally he has this kind of open blank stare of just wanting to receive whatever you say with the utmost clarity, and he just says, we were friends once, weren't we, Oscar?
Yes, Arshad, and we will be again.
I'd like that. Sometimes things seem very foggy these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
He sort of shakes his head and adjusts his satchel that he almost always has slung around him, and walks off to where he, presumably in the direction of where he sleeps in Down Street.
Sure. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah, I think after that I'll have a bit of a sit down for a while, and not really do very much at all. And then probably to distract myself, I will. I might spend some more time decoding some messages or trying to on that Jack has. On...
some of Jack's stuff. Yeah, I think we were very close to completely decoding.
Getting Aish.
Yeah, Aishes. Because I think we did we say 5 successes in total?
I had 4 successes on it.
You had 4, but I'm asking if we say 5 successes in total to unlock.
I can't remember. Might have been 6,
file?
but I'm happy for it to be 5.
6.
I don't remember exactly. I didn't make a note of it, unfortunately.
I don't know if anyone else did.
Let's go for 6 then.
Let's go for 6. Okay. Well, I believe the roll for that will be intelligence plus probably investigation. I would imagine was the roll we were making.
I think it was that one because I think I remember me having quite a lot of dice.
Sure.
What's the difficulty?
There is no difficulty. You just need to rack up a certain number of successes. But obviously, if you get like a bestial failure or something, then
that might affect things.
We'll count it as a bestial failure if you literally get no successes. So.
Okay, so I'm rolling 8 dice,
and you also get a 1 on a hunk die.
And I got 7 successes.
So I think that's it's safe to say you have managed to decode all of Jack's notes on Aish Daniel. So what we will do, we'll come back to you in a bit and maybe drop some of those pearls of wisdom that Jack had. But in the meantime, let's visit with the last member of our coterie, Arthur Norris. So what's Arthur getting up to this evening, John?
Well, he is intending to stop by Club Valiant and both feed and give Harry his weekly payments in exchange for drugs. But before he does, do any of the ghouls smokers?
Yeah, almost certainly.
He's going to ask for a lighter or matches or something from one of them, memorize the address on the business card that Cortland gave him, and then burn it in his room.
Okay. The address on the business card is listed as the Queen's Hotel.
Is there a room number on there as well? Cool.
Then heading to Club Valiant over to Soho?
Yep.
Are you looking for any company of any kind or asking if anyone else is heading out that way? Or are you just heading out?
I am just
I guess I should have asked that of Alex as well, but I guess that Alex wouldn't have.
Is Valiant Soho? I thought it was May.
Oh, sorry. I meant to say Soho. Did I say Mayfair?
No, you said Soho, but I thought it was Mayfair.
Oh, no, yeah. Club Valiant's in Soho.
Okay, cool.
Because it's basically just a couple of roads away from Oscar's shop.
Okay. No, I'm not asking for any form of company.
Okay. No problem. Well, then you leave Down Street and you head. Are you just walking to Soho? It's not far, as I think we've established multiple times. You head to Club Valiant. You head inside.
Life.
Go for it.
Smooth.
Fail, which is annoying.
So when you said you were feeding at Club Valiant, is that the herd, or are you also hunting?
I fed from my herd last night, so I'm hunting tonight.
You're hunting tonight. That's absolutely fine. Why don't you make me your standard hunting roll then? And I believe we said that Soho has a difficulty of 4.
Okay. So my standard with Scene Queen is, why have I got it written on a separate thing and not actually on my sheet? manipulation plus persuasion. 3 and 3, and my presence, which adds 2. 3 of which are hunger. So I'm rolling 8 dice, 3 of which are hunger.
Neill, is there anything in the rules on taking half for hunting? As in saying that you can't?
There isn't anything explicit, although I always think that it makes more sense to take half after hunger dice removed, just to otherwise, like I've seen Toreador with 14 dice hunting, so it's always nice to make it a bit harder.
Sure. Let's go for it anyway. Go for your roll. Sorry, John.
Okay.
Oh man. So are these clubbers that you're hunting?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Like upper middle class, upper class.
5 successes.
Carousers. Yeah, absolutely. You find a very likely candidate who is extremely inebriated and intoxicated, just like you like them, you horrible person. And yeah.
But still sober enough to tell me his job. Presumably.
Yeah, or you can find it out via, people talking or what have you.
The business card he gives you drunkenly.
Yeah.
You have a brief.
Trying to flex by telling me he's going to make partner next week.
Yeah, that exactly that kind of thing. And you find a quiet corner in Club Valiant where lots of people kind of end up, mostly not doing what you're doing, but more human forms of what you're doing in a way. And you feed from him, despite his bluster about his own cleverness and his own social standing. His blood is oddly flat and uninteresting, with no effects and no. The whole thing leaves you kind of feeling a little bit jaded.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise
Translation, there's no resonance or anything. It's just normal.
No, the resonance is jaded resonance.
Yes.
Take 2 points from him without doing.
Correct.
Cool.
2 points is the maximum.
Fantastic. And then I'm going to head upstairs to talk to Harry.
Okay. Harry is sat in his usual place and kind of waves you over. His eye is mostly healed up now, and he, is happy to receive the money you pass on to him. He gives you your latest supply of pill bottles with pills in. Yeah. Is there any particular interaction you want to have with him, or any kind of social call? I get the feeling you don't particularly like him very much, so.
I mean, there'll be an amount of, patter and small talk, and I'll probably ask him whether he's heard anything from Terence or whether he's keeping his distance.
No, I haven't heard anything from him.
Good.
Whatever you did sure worked.
Good. And that's it.
Sure.
Oh man. Oh.
So you
What's wrong, Pierre?
Presumably, once your business here is done, you're going to head out and head back to the Haven, or
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably I spend a little bit of time making deals here, just because I've got the product.
Sure.
With
Yeah,
me.
you might as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me, please, a wits plus awareness roll, and let's say that's at difficulty 2.
Okay. So I'm rolling 5 dice, 1 hunger. That's right. Yes. That is 3 successes.
Okay. In that case, you definitely get the opportunity to react when a small group of men lurch out from a side street as you walk past it on your way away from Club Valiant. And the lead one, specifically, you get a good chance to dodge away from them swinging a tire iron at you.
Jesus.
Serious.
Yeah. So why don't you give me a dexterity? Well, do you want to dodge? I mean, you can tank it if you want and hit back, I guess. It's
No,
entirely
I'm
up to you.
gonna try and dodge.
Sure. So that would be a dexterity plus athletics roll, please. And it's going to be against a difficulty. What's theirs going to be? Let's say 2. Rounding down for opposition.
Only 1 success.
Okay. Well, that is going to hit you then. Good lord, it's been a while since we did combat. So I believe that the damage done is the amount over what you dodged away from, which is 1, and also the impact of their thing, which is 2. And then we half it because it's superficial damage to a vampire. Is it? Ooh, I'm sure I have this here. Halved up or halved down, Neill?
Round up.
Rounded up. Okay, so that's going to be 2 damage.
And do I soak with stamina?
I don't think you soak in V5.
I'm getting constantly confused between the different editions.
Yeah.
Yikes.
It has been an exhausting process trying to flush the old rules out of my head to run this. Yeah, so 2 physical damage. The tire iron makes contact with your ribs, and you can you feel them crack. And while it's a dull sensation compared to what you would have felt when you were mortal, it's something has broken. 2 of the men you don't recognize. I will give you 3 guesses as to the third is.
Yep, sure.
Terence lurches out of the side street with them, eyes wide, staring. He is most certainly on something. All 3 of them are wielding tire irons, and they seem intent on doing a number on you. We are already in kind of melee combat, so we don't need to really talk about initiative so much. So what are you going to do?
That's a very good question. I'm definitely going to... What are the streets like at the moment? Are they... are we at quite a quiet part?
You are. You're quite somewhat. You're on the same street as Club Valiant, but considerably further down it. There are a few people. You can see a few people walking around. Soho is fairly active at night. None of them are within kind of 30 feet of you or so. But there's a queue outside Club Valiant just back there. But they just don't give a shit. They haven't got a masquerade to uphold.
It's fair.
And while obviously the masquerade is concerned, do remember that just hitting someone harder than normal isn't necessarily a masquerade breach unless you send them flying down the road. It just looks like you're a better fighter than them. They might think it's weird, but
yeah, don't uppercut their head off.
Yeah,
I'll try.
You could think Madra's not around.
I'm going to rouse to heal one of those points of damage. That's the thing, right? You rouse.
Yeah, it is, and I'm assuming that's a passive thing you can do alongside other. Yeah.
And draw my shock stick and try for Terence.
Mm-hmm.
Pass that rouse.
So yeah, classic. You recover. So for a start, if you rouse, I'm assuming it doesn't matter if you fail the rouse, you still heal. It's just whether or not you, and then it's dependent on your blood potency how much you heal, and that will be 1. Yeah, it didn't go up in the recent companion, so heal 1 point of superficial, and then did you say your blood surging and shock sticking?
I don't think I can. Can I blood surge and also heal?
Yeah.
Then yes.
And you the discipline. You can go up by 4 hunger in a single turn if you want.
I don't think any of my disciplines will apply, sadly.
No. You don't have like an intimidation form of presence or anything, do you?
No, sadly not.
I mean, I guess you could try dominating one of them while you know, whatever.
That may have ended in the long term slightly bad for me last time I did it.
Sure.
So I could just intimidate them by hitting someone really hard in the face. Past that last check. That's fine. It has been so long since combat, I have forgotten where I wrote down the stats for my shock stick.
Well,
+1 hitty.
Is it?
Who knows?
Well,
Let's make it that way.
A baton is +2, and this is electrified. So I think I will have said it's +3.
Seems fair.
Yeah,
+6.
so the same as a broadsword, but whatever.
Broadsword's aggravated, which is a key difference.
Yeah, sure.
We're pretty aggravated at the end of this.
Had a thing that it was +2, but only against mortals. No,
+3. Oh,
Plus-
+3. Yeah, but only against mortals. That seems fine. Yeah, because like a baton is +2, and clearly an electrified baton is worse than a baton. So I think we'll go with +3. So if you've blood surged, add 2 dice to your pool, and then give me a dexterity plus melee roll, please. And that will be against theirs. And I think, what did I set as your dodging? 2. So it's 2.
Yeah.
Is their pool.
Okay.
They're not
rolling.
like, they're not melee fighters. They've just grabbed tire irons to hit you with them. So it's not like
Well, we'll see. Maybe professionals.
Yeah, maybe Terrence has hired.
He's got his laddie Chad mates to come along with tire irons. It's not like a professional hit.
I've rolled 3 successes. I'm wondering whether I want to willpower and get more, or whether that will seriously kill someone.
Is that a problem?
You'd have to get to full aggravated to kill them anyway. That's a lot of damage. You're not going to do that much.
Willpower.
All right. I've got
Blood surge.
really.
Here's sorry. Carry on. But here's a quick question for you, Neill, because I didn't give them stats because I just thought I'll make them up. What's the original formula for building health?
Stamina +3, so they're probably between 4 and 5 or 6. Ooh, that's tough.
Is it stamina 3?
Stamina +3.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? They are average, pretty average guys. Let's just make it 5. That's cool. Okay.
Terrence doesn't know, Terrence doesn't have loads of hedge friends.
Okay. So that's 3 over their success and trying to hit you back with the tire iron. And then a +3 on top of that for your thing. So that takes them to, that fills their superficial and gives them 1 aggravated.
Remind them it's halved because it's superficial.
Oh, does that apply to mortals?
Is that already found dead?
Everyone gets half superficial, including on willpower. The major benefit vampires have is that we take superficial from things that would
be aggravated to others.
But all superficials,
like broadswords. Yeah.
So if you brought a sword cane, Arthur, that
I'll look into that.
Sure. In that case, that's 3 superficial to them. You thrash one of them across the face with your electrified baton, and they kind of stagger backwards, shrieking and kind of clawing at their face and kind of drop their tire iron. I think that's fine. It's only obviously 3 superficial, but electrified batons hurt, damn it.
Yeah, and they're not hardened combat veterans. They're just...
No. Neill, is there anything on... Presumably, although Arthur is engaged with one of them, I'm assuming the other 2 don't just get free hits.
Yeah, he's engaged with all of them, but then, so the contest would be Arthur's melee against Terrence's hit, and then the other 2 can hit Arthur, and then Arthur can either try and basically parry or dodge with a successive -1 to each of
as in a similar way to old editions with the -1.
Yeah, it's a bit like multiple actions from old editions, except you can't damage with them.
Sure.
Dodging.
Okay, in that case, who were you hitting in the face? Were you hitting Terrence in the face, or
Oh
specifically? Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So
Nice.
Terence is staggering backwards, thrashed in the face with an electric baton. So in that case, give me a dexterity plus athletics roll at a well, your blood surge though, right? Is blood surge just
That's
for
just
one
for the
roll?
one roll.
I don't like that. I
That's
think it should
annoying.
be better at 1 turn, but that's a conversation for another day. Anyway, give me a dexterity plus athletics roll at -1 then,
Ooh, okay.
and you're it's at 2. You gotta get 2.
Well, I'm rolling 2 dice, so this could be fun.
Sure.
I get nothing.
Okay.
Oh, no.
In that case, that's going to be 2 plus, their thing is 2. So yeah, that's and then halved. That's 2 superficial damage to you, please. Which takes you up to 3 now, right? Because you healed one of them. Yeah.
Correct.
Their tire iron kind of slams into your leg, and you feel like you feel your kneecap sliding unpleasantly under your flesh. But you kind of like ram your foot down, and it kind of pops back into place. Again, something that would be moderately excruciating were you still breathing. And then give me well, this roll's impossible, right? It is impossible, so there's no point asking you to make it.
But he can mitigate damage.
That's true.
That is absolutely true. So yeah, give me that 1 die roll, please, and see if you mitigate a point of the damage.
I've got a 1 in 10th chance of a bestial failure.
That's good odds.
Nah, it's just a fail.
It actually wouldn't mitigate the damage anyway because you
the
round up.
damage bonus.
Yeah, because you round up, so it's going to be 2 whatever.
True.
So yeah, that's another 2 superficial.
Cool.
Always worth finding out if Arthur bestial failure rages on the street.
Yes, true.
But those people do get halved, right? So it's only like 1. You're only taking a few.
No, that's after halving.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
2
4
after
base.
halving.
horrible.
Because they have a standard die success, because I've just halved their pool of 2, and then tire irons have a +2 damage value. So the margin is 4 or 3, and either way it ends up as 2 damage because you round up when you halve.
Rough, man.
So what is Arthur looking like health-wise now?
Arthur has taken 5 superficial damage.
Mm-hmm. And how much health does Arthur have?
5.
Right, okay. So you're going to start taking aggravated
Yeah.
fairly soon.
And you
Unless you
suffer
dodge
-2
everything.
penalty. And you suffer -2 penalty to all of your physical rolls.
Mm-hmm. If you have your
But you can
if
mend again.
your tracker is full.
But I could what?
Mend again, and then your tracker won't be full, and then you won't have a penalty this turn.
Mhm.
This turn, yeah. I'm definitely going to heal. So do
Okay.
another rouse check, which I fail, which is annoying. But I get 1 health back. And
It's not part of the rules. I don't know if there are any rules for kind of stunning, but I'm going to say that because you've poked Terence in the face with an electrified baton, I don't think he's doing anything this round but kind of faintly sizzling and screaming. So
Fair.
fantastic. I think what I'm going to do, and probably live to regret it, is Blood Surge again, attack one of the lackeys, and then turn around and try slam on presence and tell the other one to drop their weapon.
Okay, so not kind
Brandishing
of
my thing
dominating them,
threateningly.
just like trying with your presence to intimidate
after
them.
hopefully hitting his friend in the face as well.
Okay. Well, that roll, obviously, I'm going to give you a penalty, like a successive action type penalty for. But yeah, sure, why not? Why not?
Why not?
I feel like you can do it at roughly the same time if you're yelling something while you're thrashing at someone else as well. So roll your rouse check for blood surging.
I fail that as well. I
Oh,
don't
no.
like this.
What are you at hunger 4 now?
3.
Okay, that's not
You
too
can
bad.
just eat Terence.
Yeah.
In front of his friends. What's more intimidating?
Just drag him into the side street and eat him. Then problem solved.
Yeah.
Zero
So-
hunger.
Noble consciences.
What so if you're blood surged, give me your dexterity plus melee roll at a +2, and it's against 2, which is theirs. So
2, and my increased hunger doesn't apply for this roll, So that's still just
Correct.
2 hunger for this.
Which confuses me. Okay, we've
1,
had that
2,
discussion.
3, 4, 5 again.
5 again. So we know the result of that. The result of that is 3 superficial damage. We know that already. But given that I've judged that that means they're like it's a similar thing, you don't thrash this one across the face. Instead, you spike the baton into their crotch. With kind of like you take a fencing pose, and as they come at you, you just threat. They do it more than you do it. And he reels backwards again and collapses on the ground straight away, howling and clutching at his groin. So how are you driving the other one away? Why don't you describe exactly how you're acting and what you're saying?
I am wheeling to face the final one, holding my baton at like a face level
Mm-hmm.
and saying, if you don't want to end up crying on the floor like your friends, I suggest you drop that weapon and run.
Sorry, obviously the role playing is excellent. This is contained within one round, and you're doing this as simultaneous attacks are going on. I think you
That's a very
might
good
need to
point.
be more terse than that.
Drop it.
Sure,
Classic. Stick with the classics.
sure. Okay,
Straight
so
to the point.
this when you say using your presence, that's because level 1 just gives you boosts to generic social roles, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, give me a.
Well, that's a good point. It's persuasion and performance plus anything.
Plus anything
Any
the storyteller
charisma rolls the
agrees.
storyteller will let you
I mean, well, it's neither of those. It's definitely intimidation. And I would say it's not charisma you're using right now. It's composure. So I don't think you're going to get the boost for it. I'll still let you roll. You'll just get some minuses, but it's going to be composure plus intimidation.
And you're going to look beautiful doing it.
I always look beautiful.
Given that it's an action you can do because you're just saying something, I'm still going to also give you the roll for like trying to defend against their hit, although it's going to be probably pretty. You're going to take a -2 on that as well, but
Make the roll.
I believe in you.
What's the worst
Yeah,
that can happen?
all right.
You could always just say drop it whilst beating him.
Yeah, exactly. Drop it, you flipping.
Be peaceful.
Just drop your weapon.
Stop resisting. Or is that too
I'm
close?
just very
I'll
aware
tell
that
you what.
Arthur isn't actually that intimidating.
I'll tell you what. How about this? How about rather than just doing this vocally, you drop into a fencing stance and do a bit of a flourish to do it, and we make it composure plus melee. How about that?
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, take a -1 to it because you've already defended against other stuff. Yeah, I think it's a situation where you can't exactly do this at will. You're on a bit of a clock as the tire iron comes down towards your head. So yeah, take a -1 on it, and I'm going to say the difficulty for this is 3.
Can I? Oh, I don't want to blood surge this as well.
Dude, yeah.
I do want to
Neill,
blood
You're
surge
about
this
to
as
kill
well.
Neill is the
terrorists.
blood surge angel on your shoulder. Well, the blood surge angel and the blood surge devil, who are both going, do it. Yeah,
I'll
do
show you
it.
what my hand is.
So
That's what I'll be rolling. So
That
I'm
really
really
going
kill
seemed
to,
to me like you were just showing us your hand. Like that's what
No.
my hand looks like.
that's
Um,
what my
Pain
hand looks like.
dice.
Yeah, I'm going to blood surge again.
Do you only have a blood pool of 5?
Blood pool of 5.
Sorry, a dice pool of 5 on this.
Yes.
Fair
My
enough.
melee is 2. My composure is 3.
I see.
Destroy
I
terrorists.
passed that.
Nice.
So I'm going to add another 2.
Mhm.
What was my difficulty?
3.
I'm going to willpower. Just to see. No.
Willpower's always the solution.
Yes.
Okay, so I did actually pass before, but I wanted a little bit extra, so I got 4.
Okay. All right, 4. Yeah. the last guy who's kind of looking down at Terence and his other companion on the floor. Kind of Terence is just hunched over, kind of like trying to like clear his eye. His eyes are like streaming, and the other guy is just kind of like on the ground. He does exactly as you say. He kind of drops the tire iron and backs off like with his hands up, and then kind of dashes off. Lacoste shirt to the wind. That's probably horribly out of date.
So there are two in front of you. Is this?
Yeah,
Yes.
one of them's on the ground holding their crotch, and the other one's Terence, who's kind of like trying to clear. They're not permanently disabled. Like, I don't want you to just
Not
permanently
yet.
disable them with 3 superficial damage. But I felt like the electrification had to be, have some sort of effect beyond just an extra point of damage. You don't just carry on after you've been electrified with a baton. That's the point of the baton.
I'm going to kick both tire irons away from them, probably quite loudly, and then
Continue to beat them.
crouch
one
over
down.
Terence,
Mhm.
not within arm's reach, and say, "This isn't exactly professional, is it?"
He's desperately trying to get his eyes clear, and he's kind of moving away from you and kind of patting down on the ground trying to find the tire iron. I mean, I could tell you what he says back, but it's essentially just a stream of invectives and swear words.
He's just going to do it again if you don't kill him.
You shouldn't listen to the devil on your shoulder.
I mean, that's a bit too
Definitely
much
not.
devil even for me right now. Only a bit, though.
Look, we can come to some kind of agreement. You don't have to do this.
Is that a genuine attempt at negotiating with the man swearing and like patting on the floor to brain you with a tire iron? I think you want to make. Are you asking to make a roll?
Yes,
Okay. Then
as long as
give
my
me-
oral account.
Sure.
Oh, that's your
Oh
failure.
yeah, it
and then
will
eat
because
him.
it's a persuasion roll, right? So I'd say it's definitely manipulation rather than charisma, given the current situation. I think. So manipulation and persuasion, and go ahead and use your. You don't need to rouse for presence, do you?
No.
So yeah, go ahead and use your thing. I'm gonna say I don't really know what his willpower is, and I don't really want to rack it up against that. So instead, I'll just use the difficulty chart. This is going to be a difficulty of 6.
Ooh. Okay.
Rouse.
Spicy.
Blood
Blood
surge.
surge again. Yeah.
Then eat him.
Yeah. Let's try blood surge again.
Neill, you've got a new convert to the blood surging.
Yeah.
So I
Only way to
fail,
live.
Yes.
but for now, I'm rolling 10 dice.
That's decent against the difficulty.
It's still
of
not
6.
enough to take half, but
No, sure.
But you can willpower that quite comfortably.
that is true.
Is the real secret of
I'm crying out.
Mithras
1, 2,
blood
3,
surge?
4,
Big blood
5,
surge.
6, 7, and a messy critical.
Lovely. Absolutely
I think I'm gonna
lovely.
keep that.
If you bear with me while I adjust my chair. Okay, yeah. So that messy critical. I mean, have you got any notions about where you'd like that to go? Like, because you want to succeed. I know what I want to happen. No, it can't be that, Justin, because it's a success. So it
Yeah.
needs to broadly succeed, and you wouldn't be succeeding making allies with Terence if you eat him.
Well, I don't know about that.
However, there is someone else on the floor.
Oh, man.
Here's just my proposition, but it's up to you to agree to it or propose your own thing. I think you're going to lose it in that moment, and you are going to illustrate your point about what happens if Terence doesn't agree by stamping on the neck of the guy on the floor and killing him, which would result in a stain. There's other things we can do. I could certainly see a masquerade breach taking place, a compulsion taking hold, all those things. But that's just my suggestion. But how do you feel?
Gaining
I'm
leverage.
happy to go with that.
You want to go with that? That's cool. Yeah. Terence is kind of still swearing and kind of patting around, and you lose your patience. Saying so, like, in my head, I have this kind of statement in, but obviously I'd, adjust it for Arthur. A kind of like, Terence, you're not listening to me. Stamp, crack, gurgle, lights go out in a man's eyes for the final time, etc. But why don't you give us the Arthur of this moment? And you know what? Let's Steve, can we bring up Arthur's rage face as per Pierre's art? Although Arthur has kind of a sexy rage face rather than an angry rage face.
Well, he is using presence, so he would have a sexy face.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think you've nailed Arthur's tantrum dead on.
Sure.
Literally, in this case, dead on.
Dead on. All right. Well then, Terence kind of staggers back. He kind of looks down at his dead, presumably friend or companion of some kind. Kind of like he still kind of can't see properly, and he just goes, "Jesus fucking Christ! All right, whatever. Well, yeah, sure. Do you need someone? I've got friends. I've got. I can help you with your network. Whatever. Just fucking hell. Jesus Christ."
Accurate.
And this is what happens when we don't act like professionals, Terence.
No, I get it. He's still on something, so his brain is struggling to put the pieces together. He's just acting on raw instinct now, but he's cowed. He's not going to be any trouble.
Good
for now. All right. I think that's a perfectly satisfactory place to leave that scene. Let's have the quickest of quick discussions. What stains do we think we're looking at here, folks? I think I have a stain.
I mean,
do I have the thing? Oh, here we go. Yeah.
I mean, basically none.
It does feel like commit no malice probably is.
Oh yes,
I mean, commit no malice and also act like a human, not a beast, because
it's a living human being who did not need to die in that moment, and you've murdered
malice.
them. That's absolutely a stain. Well, touchstone destroyed is 2, so it's clearly not as bad as that. So I guess it has to be a 1. And you weren't in control of your actions at the time, etc. I think 1's fine.
So I am wondering whether the not in control of my actions is the acting like a beast part of it.
I don't think so. I think that like animals don't get so mad that they kill people to make a point. That's a very human thing to do. It's not the nice side of being
honestly,
human.
I think it contravenes both of them. I think you killed someone while under bestial rage, and also you committed thinking murder, or at least reactive murder. I think either of them, it doesn't matter. But I think if a touchstone being destroyed, if someone who is one of your only connections to the emotional life of mortality is a 2 stain, then I think murdering a random is 1. Like, I think also we set precedence, didn't we? Didn't Oscar take a 1 stain for accidentally killing someone? So
yes, the beggar in the alley.
Yeah, right near the beginning. Yeah. So 1 stain. Take 1 stain.
All right.
Although I suppose there is a difference between touchstone destroyed and murdered your touchstone.
Yeah, there is, and that is a +3. So yeah. Either way, embracing a mortal is also +2, and I mean that is killing someone essentially, but also could argue worse than killing. It's
bring them over for life.
So yeah, I think 1 is fine for accidental murder. So okay,
that's cool.
Legally, that's manslaughter.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
And Arthur would definitely know.
I think the British penal system does apply 1 stain for manslaughter. It's fine.
I wonder what Arthur's going to do with this body now that he's murdered someone in broad daylight on the street of London.
That's actually a really good question. Are you going to bother doing anything?
Well, it's not a masquerade breach, and
No.
there's obvious signs for struggle because there are weapons all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't really think what I could do other than drag it into a dumpster.
Get Terence to put him in a car.
Oh,
Presumably Terence
gosh.
came here in a car.
Dive him into the sewer and let the King of Shadows sort it out.
Or you could literally turn. It depends how reliant. You just turn to Terence and say, "Take care of this." He'll do whatever you fucking want right now.
That's probably the safest thing to do.
Unless you want
I
to
think
drain
Arthur's
him.
still slightly pissed, so he's gonna say to Terence, "Clean up your mess."
Sure.
Oh.
Terence is gonna say, yeah, whatever, and he grabs the guy, which is obviously a bit of a judgment on Terence. Clearly, a man perfectly willing to drag their friend's body away and hide it at the moment their own life is threatened. And he starts dragging the body away. Presumably, you make yourself scarce at this point.
Yes.
Very scarce. Okay. So we've had 2 people leave Down Street tonight, and both of them are going to get rolls when they come back to Down Street. So Neill and John, please give me a fairly standard, I guess, wits plus awareness roll, please. And I want this to be at a difficulty of 5.
Does instincts count?
No. Well, I always want to think about it. It's a difficult one to judge what it applies to in some ways.
I'm fine with it not. And I don't think I'd have heightened senses on, because it doesn't make sense for me to do it as I walk my own
Probably not.
haven.
As expected, that's a bestial failure.
I'm going to spend a willpower to make sure I don't get a bestial failure. So
Sure.
it could be 2 for 2. I got a messy critical on an awareness roll with 5 successes. I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Me neither. But hey,
Compulsion.
sounds like these.
They
Compulsion.
both come back at the same time. The messy critical hits the
Sure. So
Maybe Arthur annoys me.
yeah, I think that's real. You know what? Let's say you do come back at roughly the same time and are approaching each other. You're walking down the street. Obviously, you'd walk together if you bumped into each other nearby, right? So,
Opposite directions, perhaps, and we just see each other. And I go,
Yeah.
damn that, Arthur!
and as you're walking towards Down Street, so obviously Alex did succeed. Alex, you notice essentially there's a building opposite Down Street that has been there's been like a shop that's been shut for the last few nights with kind of a flat above it. It now has a sold sign outside it. You didn't notice this on the way out. The sold sign could have been there, but what you notice more than anything is the sound of drilling and carpentry and things of that going on inside, which is quite unusual considering it's about midnight now. And it's just quite an unusual thing. Now, for your messy critical, and this is just my proposition, as before, take what you want. I'm assuming there's a compulsion that's kind of paranoia based.
There is, in fact, paranoia.
And you did just have an encounter with Gilbert Duane as well, who is Prince of Paranoia.
But there is also a Malkavian one, delusion, and I'm not saying we should take that instead of paranoia, but they're both interesting.
Sure. Paranoia seems to fit, but also your encounter with Gilbert, I just like the idea that his derangement infected you in some way. Cool. So what's the details of that?
1 second, I might be sneezing. Nope. I suffer any
Paranoid, he's
action
sneezing.
Exactly. That's how paranoid I am about dust. Now, any action I make that's not towards disengaging from perceived threat is a -2 penalty, and it ends when I've spent about an hour in a safe place, like in the bottom of a haven, perhaps.
Yeah, which you are right outside, so it's not too bad. Yes, and obviously play that however you like concerning the activities there. John, bestial failure. Nothing's immediately occurring to me, you know.
Hunger.
Just hunger.
It's on Hunger 5, right?
Is there any?
We can't hear
Is
you,
there
John.
any,
You're on mute.
I'm on hunger 4.
Okay, I don't particularly want to apply a hunger in this
Yes, you do.
circumstance. Then,
Yes, you do.
So I'm also
is-
periodically angrily wiping up my nose with the handkerchief.
oh God, yeah, because of your
Yep.
kind of stigmata.
Yeah, which
What's that?
started while I was having the conversation with Terence, which is,
Oh,
is
that'll.
quite
You should
nice.
have said that. That would have definitely I'd have given you a
Although it's probably-
difficulty decrease for that.
Probably would have been like excusable as injury at that stage.
Yeah, sure, but also looks intimidating, I guess.
Willpower?
Just a aggravated point of willpower damage.
Like is humiliated in front of Alex.
But how is it? How is?
It's come home once again, covered in blood.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. That, but also, I guess you maybe notice. Do you think it's fair, especially given the paranoid compulsion, Neill, that Alex they would have kind of been obviously quite twitchy and nervous about the noises from across the road, or at least would have visibly noticed them.
Yes, and then I'm quite happy to have turned to Arthur and made an unflattering comment.
Sure. In that case, then, Arthur, why don't the situation? You didn't notice this. You didn't notice the drilling and the stuff right opposite your haven, just like you didn't notice Terence and his goons stepping out from that, and you just feel under attack. So let's give you an aggravated point of willpower damage.
Marvelous.
Does that seem right? That seems
Yep.
cool. That works out. Okay. Alex, having noticed this, are you just going to go to ground?
Yes, I'll go. I'll say, Arthur, good, you're here. There are terrible things afoot. We must leave. And then I'll be going straight. And maybe you shouldn't come. And then I'll dart inside.
Whatever.
Sure.
Too hungry to deal with this.
Absolutely. I'm going to assume is Arthur making a beeline for the fridge and one of the final remaining blood packs.
Yes, and also his 2 remaining willpower points. Because Ventru, I need to spend willpower in order to not drink my type. And I have 2 willpower left, and it costs 2 willpower.
Oof.
Oh God.
So as I'm...
You can drink from friendly vampires. Just put it out there anytime.
I wouldn't ask.
Sure.
So as I have to burn willpower in order to do it, I'm going to take 2 of the blood bags.
Sure, might as
'Cause
well.
I'm just going to be in the same position tomorrow anyway.
Exactly. So what does that leave us with in the refrigerator?
Let me
So
scroll back in my
it's
memory.
definitely lower than 5, I think.
I think it's
in
4,
there.
maybe 3.
I think, yeah, something like that.
We have 4 left.
Supplies are dwindling.
It's fine.
Arthur's taking half of that. Sure. So that
Brilliant.
knocks you down to hunger 2, though, right? So,
Yep.
Sure. Hunger 2 and 0 willpower.
Yep.
And 1 of that is aggravated. So, fun times.
Is it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you just took an aggravated willpower.
Oh, no. Cool.
Cool.
Meanwhile, do I pass anyone on my way towards my room, or will you two be?
You definitely go by both of our rooms because Oscar's one is like on the staircase as you go down the first flight of stairs. Like you could probably hear Oscar's
And
music
lift.
playing or something. And then mine is you have to go past the lift to the bottom stairs.
Okay. Then on the way past Oscar, I will duck in and say, "We are being watched from across the street. Be careful." And then I'll leave very quickly, and I'll say the same thing to Mandrel and leave
What?
very quickly.
Alex! Is it was it across the street or was it above the is it the room above us?
It was directly opposite the main entrance to Down Street.
Cool.
I am going to go to the conference room because I think that no one will find me there because they'd find me in my room. And I'm going to barricade so the table is facing the entranceway and I have chairs. You may come across me while I'm doing it. I'm setting it up so there's kind of an obstacle course to me in the corner, protected by tables and a labyrinth of chairs. As much as I can move anything.
Okay. I think after this has happened, I think I might try and seek out another member of the coterie, probably Mandrill.
Well, it's not hard to find Mandrill.
For a private chat, if that's okay.
Can I roll an insight roll? So Mandrill would immediately follow Alex and try to get more information. But seeing Alex especially perturbed, do you think I could roll like an insight roll to try and work out what's going on with them?
No, because the insight roll would reveal that a mechanical compulsion has taken hold, which like
but some something. You know what I mean? Is it a bit like?
But
I know
tell
that.
Tell me
Okay,
what you
let me
want to find out.
I want to find out that a member of a family known to be especially weird is having an especially weird period right now, and that family is known to having extreme bouts of weird periods.
But that is, I mean, the thing is, Mandrill knows that, and that is apparent from what's happening. I don't think you need a roll to assume that it's because Alex is Malkavian.
I guess what I want to achieve with this is for Mandrill to act in a protective way that might aid Alex in calming down, not especially quicker, but I think that
I don't think you need to make a roll to choose what your character does.
Okay,
there's no extra information to be passed across in this circumstance, so I don't think you need to roll.
Well, in that case, seeing that Alex was experiencing a special bout of oddness, I think I would, if I can understand that Alex is trying to protect themselves, is that kind of apparent from the situation? Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I thought I was
Yes.
muted and then I wasn't muted and I clicked it several times. Yeah, I mean, Alex is barricading a room, so yeah.
I just want to get it clear. In which case, seeing that the whole situation is kind of fruitless, I'll go to Alex. Alex, I will stand guard, and then I will put myself facing outside of the room, facing outwards. Yeah. And when Oscar arrives, I'll go. Alex is under my protection or something like that.
I mean,
I play along.
I think just with the new V5 rules as they are, all kindred have a certain degree of bouts of slightly irrational behavior as the beast takes hold. But I think it's safe to say that while Alex has been, they've been kind of fairly rational through most of the story. You will almost certainly have encountered Malkavians with more extreme behavior than Alex, and therefore, knowing that Alex is Malkavian, it's perfectly reasonable that Mandrill would just go humor Alex until this is gone.
And I have seen Alex having one of in the house with the Sabat.
Yeah, you've seen Alex having visions, and you've seen Alex literally snapping out of nowhere at certain other kindred and so on and so forth.
So, Oscar, that's where you find me if you're coming to look for me.
I'll be rambling somewhat whilst this is happening. Across the street, there are great terrors. They are observers. They build their edifices. They are poxes upon Mithras. He speaks and tells me.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Okay.
How are you, Oscar?
I'm all right.
Do not let him in. He bleeds.
You're not allowed in, Oscar.
I think at this point Arthur could walk around the corner with a bloody handkerchief held to his face.
Oh man, Arthur, you look.
I'm fine.
Terrible.
It's been Thank you, Oscar. It's been a night.
Yeah. Is there anything I can?
Woes upon us.
Yeah. Is there anything I can do for? What is going on? Anyone?
Any signs, Arthur, of something that might have caused Alex to behave so erratically?
Did Alex actually point out the noise across the room to me, across the street?
I don't believe. I think Alex just said they are watching something like I can't. It was like 5 minutes ago. What have gone? But they're watching us, or they're danger,
I
and then
think
went inside.
I think it's kind of reasonable, though, particularly with the
Yeah.
willpower damage you took, that you will have noted what sent Alex off the deep end. Although I think it perhaps, from the fact that you failed it, like let's say that it didn't register as unusual to you in any way or anything like that. You just went, oh, what, like, you know.
So development work. There's some kind of building works across the street.
I will round upon you and say they are building an edifice against Mithras and all of Mithras's children.
They're
We are
building
not
a shop.
safe. At
I think
2 a.m, they are building a shop. They are building an edifice against Mithras.
I'll go check it
And
out. I think
I'm going to turn to Mandrel and hand you something to hold.
brilliant. I take it. I'm going to go check this out, Alex. I think it's very sensible that we do it.
okay. I'm happy to help.
Okay. So is Arthur just pissing off to his room or something?
Yeah, I think I don't know if he was necessarily holding the blood bags when he went round, but he is going to go to his room and
Sure.
eat.
Sure.
Like, shout me if you
Okay.
need me, Alex.
Okay. So Alex, rambling and maddened down in the room. Oscar and Mandrel, are you just going to go up out the main entrance and just have a look?
Yeah, I might. I don't know. Grab. Like it's just across the street, right? So like,
Yeah.
I can't observe it via like binoculars. Yeah, I'm just gonna try and observe. Do a bit
Okay.
of investigation, dig around.
Sure. Mandrel?
I'm going to go out via the postern
Mhm.
and double around, not clearly exiting from the haven, and I'm going to break in and have a look while being super sneaky.
Okay. So let's deal with Oscar first, I guess. So Oscar, why don't you give me a resolve plus awareness roll, please? And let's just see what you get.
Okay. And I can't use my investigation. I will use. Okay.
Not well. You can if you actually go and investigate it. I thought the idea was you're just
okay.
kind of
I'll just be looking
walking
at
around a bit, and yeah.
2 successes.
Okay. Yeah, there's some building works going on. You're fairly sure they weren't there yesterday, and there's a sold sign outside the building that may or may not have been there yesterday, but certainly wasn't there like earlier in the week. And it is an unusual time to be doing some building work.
Sure.
But beyond that, nothing immediately occurs to you. So Mandrel, you're leaving via the postern, and then you're like doubling around and trying to break into the place. So I would say it is a part of a terraced row, and it's a terraced row backed onto another terraced row. So you're not sure there's any way in, because you've investigated this area a lot. You're not sure there's any way in other than via a front window or a front door.
I mean, that shouldn't cause too much of a problem as long as I'm obfuscated, right?
No, sure.
Cool.
So you are obfuscated. Tell me the limits of your obfuscation. Can you interact with things?
I can do. So, okay, as long as I emit no major odors or sounds, it automatically succeeds.
That's the silence of death, right?
No, that's the visibility kind of, not the. That's the unseen passage.
Okay.
And then, so if I draw attention to my role, then they can attempt to detect me with normal awareness. And they can use sense unseen, any like magical ways, supernatural ways of detecting me are fine. I've also got silence of death on, so my noises are muffled. I have to make a rouse check for unseen passage, which I have failed, and then I'm also making a rouse check for blush of life in case I get seen, because I don't want to be caught doing this looking undead.
Sure.
So I'm going to be, which I pass. So I gain 1 point of hunger.
Okay. All right. Well, then, I mean, the first thing, obviously, to say is, so you go over to it. It's a building about three stories high. It's also got like a basement area. You know, one of those basements that's like sort of fenced off with a set of stone stairs leading down to it, like a little sub flat sort of thing. Each of those floors has a couple of windows, and the main floor has a door. All of those are closed, and have had like drapes drawn across them. So realistically, the only way in is to try and either jimmy or break a window or open a door. Any of which, obviously, if you're in the proximity of someone, will mean that they get to roll against your obfuscate because it's a door opening for no reason or whatever.
Yeah. In which case, I'm going to.
There are lights on literally all the way through the house.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, like, I guess what I'm going to try and do then is get in via a window that's close to this building works, or at least kind of maybe at least get up to the building works first and see if I can have a peer in.
Sure. The building works sound like they're coming from an upper floor.
Sure.
So the closest place to them is just the main floor. Like
Can I not
the ground floor?
Could I? Is there anything to scale on the outside of the building?
There.
Pipes,
I mean, no, it's just brick.
There's no pipes or like fire escape. Or anything?
Sure. I think that is starting to draw attention. There's no fire escape on the front of the building. No.
Sure.
But sure. There's pipes. There's a drain pipe. I think that does start to draw attention to you a bit using obfuscate. Like maybe I'm conflating it with earlier editions, but it seems like level 2 you can do anything invisible as long as you're not like right next to someone. Is that really the wording of it?
I'll have a look at the rules again. I've only got a shortened version of the rules on my.
With this power, move around while staying hidden. As long as the user emits no overpowering odors and no sound louder than a whisper, it automatically works. Only if the observer has their attention drawn to the user can they make a detection roll. Okay, well, I think that doesn't help us very much. But let's say it like this. I think climbing the drain pipe has the same impact potentially, as in the drain pipe will move if you're kind of climbing up it. So I think maybe it's more difficult to spot, but there's still a chance if someone was observing you. With that in mind, if you want to try, go ahead.
Well, in that case, then let's just try breaking in through the ground floor and then see if I can do something else when I'm inside.
Sure. Through a window, or are you trying to break or jimmy a window, or are you trying to like shove through a door, something like that? Let's say that is it possible to do a little scout round for whatever looks like the quietest entry? If it's a door, it's a door. If it's a window, it's a window. Sure, why not? Let's take a resolve plus investigation roll. Okay. Actually, no, resolve plus larceny, because larceny is right there.
I think I'll be using larceny a lot tonight.
Difficulty 3.
I think I'm imagining Oscar is kind of leaning up against a wall. Like,
that's a very good point, Oscar. Why don't you give me a sense? You got 3 successes, cool. So I have obfuscate up here. Why don't you give me a what is your wits plus obfuscate, Justin?
I think 5. No, 4.
Okay. 4. So let's roll that down to. I mean, you could roll. You know what? Let's roll off against each other. Why not? Can you roll your wits plus obfuscate, Justin, again? And Pierre, can you roll your? I think you're standing and watching. So can you roll your resolve plus auspex, please?
Could I? Oh yeah, yeah. Resolve plus auspex, because I do have sense the unseen. So
that is why I'm giving you the roll.
Yeah. I was just checking if I had higher wits, but I do not. So I'm rolling 4 dice. Hunger 1. Bam, 1 success.
Also 1 success.
In the case of a draw,
defender wins.
No, it's normally aggressor. But
no, I think it is in this as well. It was in older editions. It did tend to assume defender, but I think in this one it is. So it takes you a while, Oscar, but you kind of just become aware, like you're like, is someone over near the front of the house? And you kind of blink your eyes a couple of times. Mandrel is at the front. You roll 3 successes on your larceny thing. it's undoubtedly easier to try and jimmy or break one of the windows than it is to go through that doorway.
Can I 3 successes carry over, or do you want me to roll again to break in?
Oh God, yeah, they carry over. Sorry, no, they don't carry over. You're just looking before. Now you're
Cool.
doing it. So are you trying to jimmy it or break it?
I'm going to try and stealthily break in.
Stealthily break in. Okay. That do you mean break it?
I mean like pick the lock or something if I can, or like do some kind. There are other ways to
You're
get
trying
to
to
get
jimmy it. Okay.
to bypass the door. Yeah, Jimmy, I guess
The
is
door,
word.
not the window.
Okay, whatever the easy way in. I thought we said door, but never mind. If it was a window,
Okay,
it's
It's
a
the
window.
window.
Okay. So, can you give me a dexterity plus larceny roll, please, then?
Mhm.
And that's going to be difficulty 3.
I got 3.
Okay. Yeah, they're fairly old, battered windows, just a soft, slightly rotten wooden frame. And you manage to kind of just get your fingertips underneath them, like a quick, sharp pull, and yeah, it's open. You can't see through it because there's drapes on the other side, but you can certainly open this window. And there's no kind of, it didn't make much of a sound. It didn't make any of a sound because you've got Silence of Death on. So,
In which case, and I've also got Sense the Beast. So if it's an immediate someone's about to try and attack me, I might sense that.
sure,
I'm just gonna like,
creep through.
Carefully move the curtain aside and see what I can see.
Okay, yeah, sure. I think you can do that without any kind of danger. You see a large, kind of empty, what looked like a shop floor. Maybe you remember that it was a chemist, and it looks to be a chemist shop floor. The lights are on. There's a door open at the back, and through that door is coming, sounds of drilling, hammering, stuff like that. There doesn't seem to be anyone in this room.
Then I'm going to jump on in.
Okay. Pierre, outside and opposite, are you doing anything in particular?
I think I am going to pay particularly close attention to the upper floors and see if I can notice any change in sounds or noise. But otherwise, I trust Mandrill. So unless I hear something weird, I'm not going to go
absolutely. So Mandrill, you are now creeping through this empty shop, empty pharmacist shop. Are you going to that back door?
Yep.
Kind of behind the desk. It seems it has a set of stairs leading up and a set of stairs leading down.
And which direction does the sound seem to be coming from?
From upstairs.
Oh yes, of course. Then yeah. I mean, I'm going to approach until I can find out more information.
Okay. Then you are sneaking up those stairs. There's no doors or anything to block your way once you're in here, so there's no need to make any rolls. You go up to the kind of the second floor and look inside what is a large open area that seems to have at some point in the not too distant past been a flat of some kind, but all the furniture has been bundled over to one side of the wall. There are a couple of individuals in here, a couple of gentlemen dressed in quite typical workers' clothes, just kind of jeans and t-shirts. Like they're wearing some high-vis safety gear, which doesn't seem entirely necessary in all honesty. There are 3 of them in this room. Mm-hmm. One of them is stood with one of them is holding steady a long, thick plank of wood balanced on like a workbench, and the other one is just repeatedly and with a bored expression on their face drilling holes. Just the plank is full of holes. The third individual is over by the window, holding the side of it open with one finger and staring out over the street towards Down Street.
Okay, cool. I was going to say I'm going to make a carpentry roll to see if they're doing anything useful, but it doesn't sound like if they're just drilling holes in a board, they're doing anything.
Let me tell you, Mandrill definitely knows that.
Yeah.
But it's safe to say that Oscar, Arthur, and Alex would also easily have made that roll.
Damn.
Carpentry, it's got to come up at some point.
I really wish I'd had some opportunity to justify spending extra points in brawl, and then I could just go in and I guess what I suppose I would do is I'm going to move to the bottom of the building and try and see if there's somewhere I can cut the power for the building or something.
Okay. I mean, at somewhere there's going to be like an electrical box.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I mean, have a.
I'm just gonna.
Are you looking for that
destroy
on the
it.
bottom floor in the bottom floor in the basement? Right. Okay. Okay. So yeah, give me a
Technology.
yeah, you know what? You can make a technology roll if you prefer that to investigation.
I do.
Then yeah, go ahead and give me a resolve plus technology roll.
That's gonna
Difficulty 3.
It's gonna be 7 die. I'm just gonna I'll just take off.
Yeah, take half. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, you find the breaker box down on the shop floor.
I'm gonna just like. I'm going to leave it obvious that if anyone knows what a vampiric strength is, that I have been there and destroyed it.
Right. Okay. That's a masquerade breach.
Well, if they are already observing my haven.
Yeah, but it's not just for them, is it?
Okay. Well, in that case, I'm well.
Just so you know,
I guess,
it's a masquerade breach.
I think it'll look like it's been ripped out of the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. That's fair. It could look like someone's hammered on it with hammers. Yeah. Sure. Okay. Well, then, if you want to do that, yeah, that's a feat of strength, right? So let's see. You can just do it automatically. So that's going to be strength plus athletics. What do you get from your potence for that kind of thing?
If I want to apply it, which would be
feat of strength thing?
It would be a rouse check to apply it, and then I would. So I base is 6, and then I could add 2 to it for
your potence.
Well,
I would say that it's if you want to do it automatically, I'd say that that's a challenging thing to do to batter a thing off the wall. So I think that is actually 4 successes that you need. So if you want to take half and do it automatically without rolling, you can do that if you use your potence. Oh, and Neil's made a very good point. Of course, it is very loud, so your obfuscate would. But you have Sounds of Death. Does that
masks things in my local area,
right?
Still very.
They still might not hear it, given how much noise they're making.
They're making a load of noise, and it's 2 floors away.
1 floor away.
Well, isn't it in the basement or?
No, I said it was on the shop floor.
Oh, okay. In that case,
it could have been in the basement, but I did say that, so we'll stick with it.
Okay,
it's
sure.
It's behind the front, behind the counter.
Well, I'm going to just roll for it base, and then I'm going to spend a willpower to re-roll.
Sure.
So and I get 5 successes.
Yeah, absolutely. You spend 30 seconds or so kicking the thing until it's battered and crumpled and has fallen off the wall. So Silence of Death stops when you
It does, but it's free to react. It's free, so I suppose I could just put it back on.
So you know what? Let's. I don't really want to roll for them. Yeah, a vampire needs to make a whole lot of noise to break the silence. Yeah, it is nice and ambiguous. You know what? Given that if they weren't drilling, I'd think about whether they heard it or not. Given that they haven't, nah. Although, of course, their drilling stops as soon as you kick the stuff off. But yeah, you hear kind of like upstairs. You hear what? Hey, what the power's on at? What are we? Kind of generalized confusion.
I think at this point I'm going to slip out the window. I think that I don't need to be.
You've made your point.
Yeah, as the power goes out, however, and the lights go off, I am going to head in. Is like my intent because I believe
you probably catch me on the way out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
And given that Oscar's seen you once already and obfuscate in this scene, I think it's fine that he sees Mandrill coming out.
Yeah. So I'm like starting to cross the street, and then I see you come out of the door.
Yeah. Or the window.
The window. Yes. Door's a window.
Oscar, sorry about that. Dusting hands off. I think they might have got the message. Should we see what happens when they decide to come on checking things? I think there's a good spot to look from across the road.
Sure. Okay. So Alex was right?
Oh, yeah.
We should tell the others.
Yeah, why don't you... So you're basically sitting and watching what happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why don't you give me a resolve plus stealth roll? Do both of you have stealth?
I do not, but maybe I would actually be going away to get the other two or alert the other two.
Sure, okay. It doesn't apply a penalty to it if you don't. But Mandrel, what's your pool for resolve plus stealth?
5.
Okay, you're clearly going to be the higher one then. Then go ahead and make that roll, please. And let's say it's a difficulty of 2.
I got 2.
Okay. You're fairly sure that you're not spotted. I'll just obviously you can leap in and tell me. Well, at this point, I run across the road and punch someone's head off. But I don't think you will. So I'll just tell you the sequence of events that happen over the next half hour as a result of this. A couple of the men inside kind of go out of the front door quite soon after you leave it, and kind of sort of loiter around the front with the sense of kind of looking around while not looking like they're looking around. And then about half an hour later, a van pulls up, like quite a large van, like a converted sort of like a converted minibus sort of thing. You assume all the rest, 6 men come out, leave the door kind of locked behind them. They do not spot the broken window, jimmied window. They leave, they get into the said minibus. Minibus has been painted over to be like a business sort of transport thing. On the side of it, it says Heritage Construction.
Can I get a license plate number as well? Not from you, but just
you absolutely can get a license plate number. Yeah,
Heritage Construction.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
And then drives off.
Good.
Notably, they didn't bring out any equipment.
Well, it's safe in there. They can leave it overnight.
Yeah.
Cool. In that case, when I'm sure it's all kind of closed up, I will go back and tell my coterie what's happened.
Sure. As the two of you head back in to Down Street, presumably using the postern?
Yes.
Yes. As you head back in, you kind of step through, kind of open the postern. I think we described it as almost like a kind of bank vault door, right?
Sure.
Like a double blind one, in fact, I think we mentioned. As you approach the outer one through the maintenance tunnels near Down Street, kind of the Mandrel and Oscar, you're both moving along. We could make a roll to see if you notice him before he talks, but for the purposes, I want to get something done before the end of this session, so let's get pacey. A voice from a side tunnel nearby says, "Busy night."
Oh, just watching the borders, making sure that the haven is safe.
Well, I hope it is, because you've got to be somewhere else for a few hours now. He steps out from the shadows. Oscar, you haven't seen Z before, but just to reiterate his description, he's a somewhat squamous seeming Nosferatu with needle-like teeth. He wears kind of stone-washed grey jeans, kind of suspenders, and a t-shirt with a cartoonish logo of a skinhead kicking a Nazi in the butt.
So, seeing that Mandrel sort of seems to trust him, I'll say, "Hi, my name's Oscar Kane," and I offer my hand.
I know. He shakes your hand.
I shake it, and then I'm like, "Oh, this is a bit wet."
Oscar, Z is our guide and representative from the King of Shadows.
Oh.
And I'm here to say you have an audience.
Well, Oscar, we shouldn't keep the king waiting.
All of you.
Quite right. I'll just go and get them.
How long does it have to be, Alex? An hour?
An hour.
Yeah, you've had an hour. You've calmed down.
Okay. Alex, something.
Hello, Oscar.
How are you feeling?
I am quite well, as always, Oscar. How about you?
I'm feeling a little under pressure.
I am very sorry to hear that, Oscar.
The King of Shadows demands an audience. Now. Does that work? We also need to get Arthur. Where
Very
is he?
well. I will look for him. Why don't you go and stall the King of Shadows?
Hmm. Okay, sure. I can do that. Yes.
I believe in you, Oscar.
You're quite. You're sure you're all right, Alex?
Of course, Oscar.
Okay. Good.
I will go to Arthur and on the way try to find a guard milling about somewhere and ask them to tidy the conference room, which has become untidy somehow.
They kind of glance into it and visibly deflate slightly and says, "Sure, I'll do that."
Thank you. And I'll go to Arthur and say, "Hello, Arthur. Our presence is requested."
Arthur currently has headphones on, so he does not immediately hear Alex.
Are you sat at a desk or something?
I think I'm lying on my cot.
I will walk over the cot and wait. Are your eyes open? Can you see me?
Yes, I'm staring fixedly at the ceiling, trying not to think about the wet snap of someone's neck under my foot.
That's fine. I will walk over and loom pleasantly.
Jesus. Hello,
I will have
Alex?
silence to death on, not that it matters, I suppose. Hello, Arthur. Our presence has been requested by our good coterie mate's friend, the King of Shadows.
Oh, tonight.
Yes, it seems
Right.
somewhat auspicious timing.
I'd love to know what Arthur is listening to.
Oh, the Smiths.
Of course.
The Smiths is his I Feel Bad About Myself music. Everything else is Eurotrash and EBM, but the Smiths is the I Have a Stain on My Humanity,
Phew.
both metaphorically and mechanically music.
Sure. Fitting, since Morrissey is a stain on humanity.
Wow. Wow.
Hey, I like the Smiths, but I'm speaking no lies. So, yeah, is everyone going?
Yes.
Okay. You leave Down Street via the postern. Obviously, those of you who haven't encountered Z before can make your introductions, unless if there's anything in particular you want to say or do. No.
I mean, yeah. Well, no, it's not.
Sure. Z starts leading you through the tunnels beneath London. For Mandrill and Arthur, this is familiar territory because you've been through this routine before. But as far as you can tell, different tunnels, different warrens, a different labyrinth. Very, very quickly, none of you, including Mandrill, although you retain your senses a bit longer, have any idea where you are, any idea how long you've been walking. Everything is a sequence of disused tube tunnels, maintenance ways, even through the sewers at various points, and then further into tunnels you've got no idea what purpose they once served. Just brick, and at points what seems to have been carved through rock and soil and stone, in places even uncomfortably what looks like clawed out tunnels. Yes, you have no idea whatsoever where you are beneath London. At one point, Z looks over his shoulder back at you and says, "Best hope we make good time. Probably not a good idea for any of you to just collapse in these tunnels on your way back for the day." Is there any response to it, or are we just glumly moving forward behind him?
I've been hazed by Nosferatu before.
Alex,
I know
would
what
just
this
say,
is.
I am sure that our host would not let that happen.
I'd be curious to know if Z could. What I'd ask is, Z, what would it take for you to tell me what you know about heritage construction on the way? Because we lots of times talk, I imagine.
Yeah, you really do. And Z's not against conversation.
For a prize.
Yeah, sure. Heritage construction. I'll tell you something for a drink. off the Tremere or the Malkavian. He stops for this. You've piqued his interest and turns round. I'm happy with you having told the others about, what heritage construction is, even.
If Oscar would have been willing to
Oscar
do it.
knows,
yeah. I go, well, I can't offer up my clan, my coteries, vitae for nothing. Myself, if they wish to exchange for information, then that's up to them.
It's okay. I'll do it.
That is a powerful thing, Oscar.
Z nods and kind of any movement Z makes to a certain degree is creeping, but kind of creeps forward to you and softly, gently takes your wrist in his hand and says, "Real gentleman doing his coterie mate a favor like that." The needles of the fangs in his mouth slide into your wrist. There's a moment of pain, but then nothing. Almost a pleasant sensation as he feeds from you. Take 1 hunger, please.
Okay.
He gently kind of lets go. Doesn't seem to have any problem. Kind of stopping at an appropriate time, and I believe we had people make a roll for that when that happened the first time. So anyone who, not people who've done it before, because that's just rehashing it, right? So Alex and Oscar, if you give me a wits, I can't remember what wits plus occult, wits plus awareness. What did we say
Something
last
like that,
time?
yeah.
Wits plus
Occult,
insight.
probably.
Insight's better. Wits plus insight rolls, please, from both of you at a difficulty of, I can't remember what it was last time. Let's say 4.
Okay. So I can't use wits plus occult. All right.
No, I don't think so.
Hunger 2, difficulty. I have 3 dice in this. Critical
crit.
success. No. Ooh. I'll willpower reroll that.
Okay.
No, fail.
Three successes on 6 dice, and I'm not willing to re-roll this.
No, that's fine. Not enough. None of you realise the significance of this. So he turns around and carries on leading you through the warrens of the London Underground. Again, I cannot emphasise enough how not only are you not aware where you are, but you're not aware when you are. It could literally have been 10 minutes since you left Down Street, 10 hours a day. I mean, obviously it's not that, or you'd have fallen into slumber, but you have genuinely no idea. And then all of a sudden, in a way that seems unnatural somehow, you emerge into a vast 2-level chamber of stone. So the way this chamber is constructed, you are on the lower level of it, and there is a kind of upper level halfway up the chamber that appears. You can't see how deep that upper level runs because it's far enough above you, about maybe 20 feet or so, that you can't kind of see the end of it. But presumably this chamber goes on for quite some way. There is no visible way to ascend from one level to the other. There are no stairs, no ladders, nothing like that. And underfoot in the lower level of the chamber is about an ankle's worth of cold water, which Z kind of like wades out into and kind of stands over at one side, kind of ushering you forward to stand in front of this, what is effectively like an upper layer of a stone floor that you cannot reach.
Take my shoes off. Wade in.
I will follow, saying, so when do we get to know about heritage? And then, to Mandrel, like.
Oh, I'm sure Z hasn't forgotten.
Matt has. Didn't even do that. Do we want him to drop that knowledge later on in the interest of carrying on with the scene, or do we want to just quickly retcon what he told you now? It's entirely up to you. I'm not bothered.
Let's stay in the scene. The scene's fun.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's hear it on the way back.
Okay.
Alex will follow Manuel's lead, take shoes off, roll up trousers slightly.
Sure.
Yeah.
I won't even ask if Arthur's doing that. Arthur will definitely do that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Arthur's got bad history with getting wet as a vampire. So you wade out into this shallow amount of water in the stone chamber, and as you do so, almost immediately, shadows around the chamber start to kind of just intensify. You know, it's as if you just turn down the gamma on the chamber that you're in, and you can catch kind of motion around the edges of it, figures sort of leaning out, there are almost galleries up either side of it, kind of recesses where figures seem to be leaning out, but you can't quite perceive them properly. Shadows on the upper layer of the stone chamber also start to grow, and but at the back there is also a flickering light that starts like torchlight or even a bonfire up there. You get the distinct sense that you are surrounded by a great many individuals. You can hear sort of murmurings and whisperings and rustlings just on the edge of your hearing, but not quite penetrate what any of them are saying. And then one figure strides forward on the stone platform above. They are tall, they are painfully thin, and they are dressed in what appears to be a soft black woolen robe. You can't see their features too well because the shadows are covering everything, but what you can see is they have extremely pale skin, almost luminously so here, with the dark surrounding them, and they have kind of swept back dark hair that falls at least to their shoulders and perhaps beyond. They step to the edge of the platform, they raise their arm out in the air, and all of a sudden, from an open, empty tunnel above you, from which you can feel kind of a gentle, cold breeze descending, a white shape swoops down into the chamber and up again and perches on the King of Shadows' arm, a huge, snowy white owl that immediately kind of turns its head round to peer at you. An odd, echoing voice comes out, maybe from the King of Shadows, certainly from the rough direction of the King of Shadows, and says, "Speak your proposal to the Court of Shadows." I think we'll end there this week. A little bit over. A little bit. No, a little bit under, actually. It's fine. Yeah, there we go.
Can we have our tidbit now, so we don't forget?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Especially because
that was really good, though.
Especially because you'll like this. The information that Z told you is that Heritage Construction, it is a business he knows of because he likes to keep tabs on business affairs of many notables around London. It is held by a shell corporation on behalf of Mears Estates.
I fucking knew it. I was certain that's what it would be. I knew it. I was like, Mears Estates. I might ask Mears about this, but I'm like, but it could be Mears, so maybe I'll ask the Nosferatu.
Yeah. So there we go. Okay, folks, if you've got any comments or questions, bang them in the chat and Steve will pop them up for us to talk through. In the meantime, the usual little bit of promo. We've got a bunch of links down below. Check them out. We have YouTube and Twitch. You're watching on one. Why not follow us on the other? We've got social media. We've got Discord if you want to talk to us about things, role-playing and telling tales, and you can join us there. We've got a Patreon, which we offer a bunch of stuff on if you want to support us. Otherwise, we also have 3 ongoing weekly series, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, all starting at 8 o'clock in the evening BST. Mondays is Call of Cthulhu, although it's off next week. Vampire is Tuesday, that's this, and Wednesday is Simbaroom. We also run monthly one-shots on the first Saturday of every month, the latest of which was Fiasco, and along with the others that can be found in VOD form over on our YouTube. That is actually a lie. The Fiasco isn't up yet, but it will be this week, so check that out. Also, we are starting a very special thing this week over on the Free League Publishing Twitch channel, which can be found. Oh, it is Free League Publishing on Twitch. This Sunday, we're starting to run a Simbaroom story for them, a kind of limited series. It's going to be fortnightly, but that starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon BST this Sunday. So please come join us for that. We're very excited about it, and we hope you are too. Okay. That's all my promo. But yeah, that's a good point. Steve's raised a couple of good points in the chat, and you know what? Let's bring up though a couple of things. First off, well, actually, we'll just bring up one thing. We had some lovely extra art made from a piece that Pierre did, the regular piece that Pierre did for a kind of angry Oscar sort of thing. It's called an overpaint, right? Like a development on your work, yeah. And I believe the person who did this, and feel free to pop it up, Steve, because it's great. The person who does this doesn't have a massive online presence in terms of social media, but I think they requested it being credited to Hamza92. So thank you, Hamza92. It's great.
Yeah, very sinister.
It's lovely.
I think
It makes him look like a Batman villain.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a Batman villain.
That's fair.
Villain, really? Just because I'm
That's
after all the
fair.
power.
I mean, you've only killed one person.
Maybe
So
because
far.
you're an uncouth peasant. That kind of villain.
Yeah. So yeah, that's lovely art. Thank you very much. And yeah, is there anything from chat, Steve, today? Any comments and or questions throughout we can have a chat about before we go back to our humdrum lives?
Is Mandrill...
Everyone needs a sword cane.
I mean, no, everyone needs an Oscar cane.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Arthur needs to join the Zero Hunger Gang. Yeah.
It's true.
No, or I
Drains
mean,
those three men dry.
would need to
True.
spend willpower for it, and that's a valuable resource these nights.
But you ended up spending it anyway. You could think of it. You could have spent willpower and
That's
got
true.
to 0 as opposed to 2.
And maybe Terrence is part of your... Is he not part of your feeding group anyway? I don't know.
No, it's
No,
legal
fancy enough.
professionals, right?
yeah. And as a career criminal, he is definitely not.
Oh, he's
Hey,
not a career
hey.
criminal.
It's in a legal profession.
Yeah.
Certain presidential lawyers would beg to disagree about that those in the legal profession can't also be.
So that's all from chat, folks. So thanks very much for watching. Thank you to Steve for being an excellent stream manager as always. Thank you to the players. We probably have about 2 sessions of this Arc of London Ascendant ahead of us. So stay tuned for more of those, and then we might get a little interim game on the go. But we have to kind of thrash out the details of that, so I won't say any more just yet. Thank you for watching again. Take care. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.